Torres. Esto es un charla en español, and this is the month of the military child.
Well, hello, hello. Buenos días, buenas tardes, buenas noches, buenas mañanas, donde quiera que estén. Hola, hola. Hoy tenemos una invitada muy especial. If you are listening to this is a very special charla en español. I'll tell you in just a second. Let me finish up my Spanish intro. But si estás viendo esto, hoy es una charla en español muy especial porque es dirigida a los military kids. Yes, aka brats. Well, mi kid right here, esta niña que está aquí, con esta jovencita en este lado, ahí, ella me ha corregido que está muy bien que ya no les decimos brats y ahora decimos military kids. So un título más positivo y por supuesto un título mejor conducido a tener un poquito más mejor de positividad y de feeling, right? So we have a very special charla in Espanol today. So if you're watching this for the very first time, this is in English, Spanglish, and a little bit in between. And we do these every third Friday of the month where we bring a subject matter expert, a topic to speak to us in Spanish, Spanglish, to speak to us about something that is really could drive our community and infuse some energy, enthusiasm, but also positive thoughts moving forward. And so today we have a very special guest. This young lady right here, a military child, Marine Corps dependent, and she's going to speak to us about her special upbringing and also growing up in the military, but it's going to be in English, Spanish, and a little bit in between. So please post your comments, tell us where you watch, and we love to be able to send you a shout out as well. And then if you watch the replay, tell us also about the replay. So we're going to begin, and we're going to put this young lady on the spot so she can tell us who she is. So hello, Briana. Would you please introduce yourself and tell us who you are and your military connection? En español, por favor.
Sí, primero quiero dar gracias a Blue Star Families y primeramente mi mamá para to have me here. It's a big honor, and I'm really grateful for all that Blue Star Families has done for me and my family, and what it continues to do for military connected families. So I just wanted to start off with that. Thank you for having me, and just wanted to introduce myself. My name is Briana Torres. As my mom has said, I am a U.S. Marine Corps dependent, and along with that, most importantly, I view myself as a first generation graduate student, college student overall, and I currently am at the University of San Diego, obtaining my master's in counseling with a specialization in clinical school-based clinical counseling. And also, I work as a graduate assistant at the Military and Veterans Programs Office here at USD. And I obtained my bachelor's from San Francisco State University. Cue my mom's shirt, and I got my bachelor's in political science with double minor in education and race and resistance studies. And so, who I am overall is just a military brat who has taken her journey into education and trying to make a difference overall for the military connected community and first generation college students.
Fantástico. So, sí, that was a really wonderful. Esa es una introducción muy hermosa y por supuesto yo no la podría hacer igual que tú. Gracias, Briana, y gracias por estar con nosotros porque sé que estás muy ocupada, ocupadísima, que tus padres te tienen que estar llamando constantemente. ¿Dónde estás? ¿Dónde estás? Háblame. Pero quiero hacerte una pregunta. So, tú sabes bien, esta vida es un poquito desbalanceada, balanceada, depende, por supuesto, de diferentes cosas que pasan en la vida militar, pero tú como military kid o depende, ¿cómo fue tu vida en tu propia experiencia, dirías tú, navegar tu identidad como latina, pero also tu identidad como military kid?
Yeah. Well, primero voy a pues gonna explain everything a little bit in English just for my own sanity as an Osabo kid. But so growing up, I coming from a small town in Oregon, like my life was very family oriented, very family based, and I kind of held on to that as our family moved to California and began our military journey as we, traveled around and supported my father through his career. And I never really viewed myself as a military dependent to the extent that I do now while I was a child. But as I was growing up, moving away from Oregon and, having to be our own independent family, it was a really hard adjustment. But at the same time, like who we are as a family, I can remember like moving and going to different schools. Like I would always look forward to coming home and knowing that, regardless of whatever would happen outside of the home, I could come home and I knew that our family base was always there. Like you, my mom, especially my grandma and my brother at the time, and my little brother and little sister came along after. But overall, like growing up for me, it was always difficult being one of the only few brown girls in the classroom. It never really hit me until, as I'm now an older adult, young adult, studying things in school, learning about certain situations about discrimination and racism. But when I was a child, like being the one to be, asked, Brianna, in third grade, can you please read this passage in Spanish? Or, hey, Brianna, tell us what it's like to eat tamales for Christmas, or like tamales just for every day, basically. Like, tell us about that experience. And being one of the only few Latinas, basically in like every classroom, I always viewed it as, I'm special, I'm different, and I never really saw it as anything like I'm, not supposed to be here. But over time, it really started to like get to me that while I was on school bases, because I did transition to off base at some point, like late middle school to high school, I did do my education off base. But while I was on bases getting my education K through 12, there was just a lot of not a lot of representation within schools, not a lot of representation for my own culture. And so I was always viewed as the very excited, energetic, like little, paisita as we call ourselves. And I was always very proud to say, like, my family, we have carne asadas, we hang out, we do this and that, we sing karaoke. Like these things seem very just like out of the norm for others, but it always felt very special to me. And so growing up, I always felt special, always felt unique, and I was always one of the few brown kids in the classroom. And overall, into my journey transitioning off base, that's when I started to really notice the difference. And me trying to be as authentic as I was, I'm Mexican, I'm paisa, I have culture too. They're like, no, you're a rich kid, you're spoiled, you're from base. Like, what do you mean you're Mexican? You're not. You're not. And so overall, like I've had to really see that there's a difference in being off base in education and on base, and seeing that you may view yourself in a certain way but others may not view you that way. And it's all about altering and being flexible to situations. And overall, growing up in the military, I feel like that's what's gotten me to this point now where I'm able to navigate and figure out any situation and, get to know people on a different level because of all the experiences I've had and always being the unique one in a space. And I feel like that's really helped me become who I am today. And, my overall goal and with my career and field is to help make a difference for, military connected students overall, but mainly higher education, getting more Latinos into the classroom, giving them the guidance and experience that I got, thankfully, because of all my privilege with resources as a dependent. That's something that I believe every student and every military connected student should have, but it just depends on the situation, depends on the environment, and it depends on their support system. Like, not everyone comes from two great parents with, you know, motivation to get their own careers in education. So I'm just grateful for whatever hardships, downfalls, everything that our family had to sacrifice in order for my father's career. It's given me, and yourself, Ama, like this platform to speak about our experiences and help others that may not know that they have these things at their disposal, like resources from Blue Star families. So, yeah.
Wow. Gracias, mami. Eso es muy buenísimo. That was a really good breakdown of your experience. And thank you so much. We're definitely very proud of all the great learning, growing y todo lo que tú has hecho por ti misma también y cómo tú has, peleado y navegado. Y yo recuerdo esa transición de quererte ir de la escuela de la base afuera de la
Yeah.
base. cómo y dividió totalmente el, ¿cómo se llama? El team spirit, family spirit, porque yo estaba totalmente en contra, no quería que te fueras a la base, afuera de la base, yo quería que
Yeah.
estuvieras en la escuela de la base y tú no, yo tengo que ir para afuera. Y el dad, por supuesto, dad just got involved y ya,
Pero
todo
de
se
verdad creo
dio.
que esa situación de verdad me ayudó porque me enseñó que
Claro que sí.
de verdad no soy tan chicana que me creía, no estoy tan mexicana que me creía. De verdad los mexicanos de ahí puro 100, they put me in my place and let me know like, hey, like not all of us have a second story house. Some of us live within families. Like, not all of us can afford to go get Jack after school. Like, just little situations like that really taught me like about social equity. Like I feel like my experience having that off-base experience and being with just regular civilian students taught me to take this information to those on base, like, hey, maybe we should restructure how we are as people and like, spread our privilege. But not everyone's like that. But I definitely think being on and off base has given me a level of like experience and like resonation that I could help with others to understand, because not everyone would understand the experiences of both situations.
Ya. Interesante how also también tú te sentiste en medio, por parte, en la base eras unique, especial, like, ok, ella es especial,
Yeah,
es como, es una military kid, pero al mismo tiempo también no es completamente como refleja a todos los otros military kids, y
great.
afuera de la base, en las escuelas de la base, eras latina, eras conexión mexicana, pero no totalmente al 100%. So había un rechazo de las dos direcciones en cierto punto, ¿verdad?
Ya, sí, así es. Y de verdad siempre me ha sentido así en toda mi vida, pero a estar en ese momento and to have it really be like a real life situation. Like I wasn't always like, I've always felt like I've always been in the middle, but to actually have physically felt that way, like, oh no, like it hit me. And it definitely, I struggled with that emotionally, like mentally. It definitely like took me a long time to really try to figure out who I am. And all throughout high school, I feel like I was trying to figure out who I was with that. Like, okay, now I've accepted, like, ya no soy la mera chicana que me creía. Now I'm not just the military brat who's singing, how proud she is of her dad. I'm just a little bit of both, but how can I make that a thing? Is that even a thing? And so all throughout high school, I feel like I was chasing that. But with chasing that, I fell in, me puse en situaciones, me puse con gente que no estaban tan bien para mí. And like doing that, I led to some mistakes. I fell to certain situations that put me in bad situations, but they taught me lessons and taught me that I know who I am. I just needed to find the level of education to give me the explanation I needed. And so going into San Francisco State, I feel like that gave me, by providing me with an education and knowledge, I was able to find the stories about being Chicana, about being a dependent by obtaining a job as a work study within the Veteran Services Office at SFSU. I also learned about my military identity as I was also working with other nonprofit organizations about my Latina identity. So I was combining both, but separately within my own. And I eventually came to terms with, you know what, I am a U.S. Latina Marine Corps dependent. I am not just one, I am both. Oh, sorry, the lights went off. It stops every time. It.
It's okay. It's okay. Esto es, así pasa, estamos live, so
Sorry.
esto son condiciones de producción en vivo. So
Sorry.
no te preocupes, Briana,
No, but
esto pasa como diríamos en español, hasta en las mejores familias.
sorry. Siempre así está en la oficina, pero sorry,
Está
I'll keep
bien.
moving.
So,
Pero,
hablando de tu experiencia en la escuela, talking about your experience in navigating your school, tell us about your young adult experience navigating the benefits, navegando los beneficios, producto del servicio que tu papá hizo, que comprometió, and you have been able to navigate those experiences. What has that been to you to be able to, to see some of that
yeah.
sacrifice that he put in, and then you get to support that and
Yeah.
carry on.
Cuando empecé, pues no cuando empecé el college, pero cuando ya estaba terminando el high school, en esos tiempos, en el junior y senior year, en esos años, people are applying for college, figuring out financial aid. And I remember during that time, people were finding out about financial aid. They're going to go for free. They're going to go with debt, whatever the situation may be. And I remember, and I know you remember, I was very stressed and I was very
Yeah.
confused and I didn't know anything about financial aid. Didn't even know that like maybe I qualified or with not, definitely did not, but I did qualify for the benefits, and that was like a whole journey on its own. But I was always confused about what exactly is Calvet. What do you mean I can go to college for free? Not really, but what exactly is that? And so just being able to have, I mean, I know a lot of it came from you, Ma, like you reassuring me and letting me know, like, hey, your dad is 100% disabled. These are the benefits. And you didn't tell me specifically, you taught me you need to go and research, you need to look up Calvet, you need to do this. And you pushing me in that way, at first I was like, whoa, Ma, like, parents are just filling out the application forms. Like, why do I got to do it? But in reality, you pushing me to do the research on my own led me to figure out what are the ins and outs. And cuando entré in San Francisco State, I already knew how to apply for benefits. I already knew what questions to ask. I already knew what form to fill out. So for me, having that early high school research experience with you pushing me to do it as an independent, college student, like I was able to figure it out. And with Calvet, it covers tuition, and you are able to possibly qualify for Chapter 35, which is a dependent how like stipend allowance. And with that, I was able to obviously have my tuition paid for. Fees I did pay independently. Thanks a lot, Calvet. But and then Chapter 35 though did come and really supported me with when any other fees I had to pay. But you pushing me to do the research and really navigating all that on my own led me to apply for the office because I was so well informed about what the services were with Calvet, even GI, the GI Bill, Chapter 33, and then Chapter 31, BRNE, Voc Rehab. Like I was able to navigate about those resources without even having the job yet, and that allowed me to like stand out within other applicants, and that's what I feel like led me to get the job as a work study, and then becoming an official work study, working behind the scenes, seeing how benefits are processed, the time frame. I feel like I became a very renowned expert in benefits, and it gave me the understanding and knowledge to help veterans, first first generation students, dependents, military spouses, even active duty service members and reservists that are like in other parts of the world, helping them virtually navigating with all that. I mean, overall, like I'm super grateful for the benefits and the knowledge that it's giving me because now, as I'm at a private institution, the situation is completely different. And aquí en the Universidad de San Diego, todo aquí cuesta mucho and everything.
Todo cuesta, cuesta. Vas a
Yeah.
estornudar, ¡achú! Oh, $100.
No, no, serio. Everything is very, very like airport prices over here. But I mean, with benefit because it's a very exquisite school, but the benefit system here is very different. But because of my experience with the Veterans Office and going back all the way to high school, like doing my own research, I've never forgotten all these details. And as the benefits have changed and
Yeah,
altered over the years, I've always been able to keep up with it. And anyone that asks, I know exactly how to support and get them there. And mention that along with benefits, there are mental health services that are supported through Calvet and other areas for like veterans and active duty service members and reservists. It's all about doing the research and pointing you in the right direction. And I feel like me working within these two veteran services offices as an undergrad and now a grad student, I've really enjoyed this work. And I feel like I am super grateful for the knowledge it's giving me. And I hope that if anyone has a question about it, you can feel free to contact me or my mother. But just know that everything that the benefits offer, it's to an extent, but at the same time, it's better than what most people that are first generation college students get. And because of the benefits, I have been able to, well, during my time at undergrad, along with the benefits, I also también trabajé dos trabajos. Mientras que
yes.
estaba en undergrad, trabajé en dos trabajos. Fui un barista y también trabajé para el Veteran Services Office. And then ya que estoy aquí, nomás trabajo en un job, pero también trabajo en escuelas, through internships, so estoy bien preocupada, pero wherever I go, the conversation about benefits and all that is everywhere. I'll meet
Yeah,
someone at a store, I'll meet someone at a school, and they'll ask me about it, and they might even know about certain things within the benefit. And so I would say that if you have questions, Calvet research, type it in. The Calvet website is very helpful for anyone that is attending a public institution or even a community college. And then along with, no, not community college, sorry about that, but you can use GI Bill at
yeah.
community college. And then VRNE is one of the newest up and coming benefits that is basically a career plan educational benefit that I would recommend any active duty service member or veteran to utilize prior to using the GI Bill if you qualify on 100% disability. And so the benefits are
Wow.
definitely a holy grail, and I'm so grateful for them. And I would encourage any dependent to definitely get involved and not only utilize the benefits, but give back to the community by being able to utilize the benefits. That's the reason why I've chosen to work in undergrad in the Veteran Services Office, and now currently I decided to work here in the Military and Veterans Program at USD because my time in undergrad was so special, but at the same time there were a lot of hardships. Like
Yeah.
I was the one who took initiative and became the vice president of the veteran student organization because no one else was able to, with availability, with time. Veterans have families, military spouses have families. I'm a single dependent. I took on that role, and what I did was do a lot of outreach, connections. I held our first graduation ceremony at the university for all the community, and I did a lot of outreach for that. And I knew that the same situation may be present here in San Diego, but the community of military being larger here, I knew that what I needed to do was step in and be that voice role for dependents, because I knew veterans here are very loud and proud. In comparison to San Francisco, it's not as much, but here there's a very silenced voice for military spouses, for dependents, and overall just military connected, just allies. And so I've come into this space as an ally, trying to be the voice to speak about what is coming from our identities and our experiences to help the community overall.
Absolutely. Oh my God, Brianna, your parents will be so proud of you. Bien orgullosos. Tus abuelos, tu abuela va a estar bien orgullosa de saber que eres una campeona. She always says, vaya y sea una campeona, mija. Um, and that you have really invested in knowing and really researching all the great benefits and the resources that are available for you and also for dependents like yourself. And I do remember these conversations when we were transitioning, when your daddy was transitioning, and putting it on you. And I said, Brianna, if you want to stay in California, we will. I'm going to do my job to get a full-time job, which is this amazing with supporting blister families, and then you do your job by making sure that you get into the CalSTED systems that you want to go to. You get yourself into any of those schools, and your dad's job is to make sure that he goes through his process of checking out and then pursuing or following through with his disability. And then on his case was very obvious. I mean, he suffered a heart attack while on active duty, and then had some other situations after that. But that's a whole nother conversation about VA benefits for in the health side process,
Yeah.
that's what I'm infusing into that role. Pero ahorita lo que quiero saber, Brianna, para ya para cerrar un poquito de este segmento, porque quiero que vayas otra vez a la oficina y regreses a ayudar a tu comunidad, a los hispanos, a tu comunidad de veteranos, a todos los que están ahí en la oficina, por supuesto, para que tengan los beneficios que necesitan. Pero para nuestra audiencia y los otros dependents kids o las mamás como Erika, las mamás como Priscila o las mamás como otras, como Rosie, otras chicas que están aquí, que están viendo esto, como Daniela, que están viendo esto, que van a ver esto, para sus niños. ¿Qué tips and tricks tú dirías o les darías para que puedan navegar y más que todo para que recibir o hacer maximize the benefits que están disponibles para los dependes? Y más que todo, cómo navegar esta vida para que tenga una como like, happily ever after success story the way you kind of see it.
Ajá. Primero voy a empezar con los benefits, como explicar
Sí,
un poquito. Si estás interesada para obviously to utilize the benefits, first thing I would ask is do your research on the institution itself. Depending on the institution, will depend on like what benefits you're able to utilize there. And so, depending on whatever choice your child or you even yourself as a spouse may want to utilize the benefits, find out what institution you want to attend and figure out what benefits they may offer you. Like here at USD, we are a 100% yellow ribbon school, meaning that whatever the GI doesn't cover, yellow ribbon will pick up and will cover the rest of the payment, considering it is a private institution. Like I just checked my financial aid, GI has covered up to like 40,000, and then yellow ribbon has come in with 20,000 extra. That's a lot. That's a lot of money. I don't have that money, so I'm very grateful for that. And so I would say go into the institution that you're looking for. Publics and privates are very different, and I would say if you're trying to utilize Calvet, which is what most people are hopefully able to utilize, depending on the sponsor's benefit disability rate. But public schools in California, California State Universities, University of California's, are able to utilize CalVet, and you will be get tuition covered, hopefully depending on your disability rate, Chapter 35. And even then, CalVet has different options: CalVet Plan A, CalVet Plan B, CalVet Plan C. It all depends on your status, your sponsor, and your situation. I personally am on the path to hopefully obtaining a PhD, and I plan to also utilize CalVet after my time here at USD by utilizing CalVet. And so that's my journey. And I will go into researching what institutions I'm looking forward to and then finding out what benefits they offer. So that's how I make my decision. But the next step would be finding your local VA regional office. In every area, there's certain regional offices, and the closest one here for me in North County is the Escondido regional office. They're very helpful, very supportive. If you just go in person, make an appointment. Phone calls aren't always a go-to, but I would say recommend going in person and just explain what exactly you're looking for, and they will be able to walk you through as well. And it's all about having your taxes for your children, making sure you're able to support them with that information. I don't know if you want to be like my mother and do the application for them or just have them do it, but I honestly would like to say that working in undergrad and then working here, I'm grateful my parents pushed me to do it on my own, because as I was in my first, second, third, and fourth year, I was submitting my benefits on my own every semester. I made sure I got my money every semester, my benefits, everything taken care of. There were some students that left that role to their parent who's not a student, who's not getting the emails about their benefits not being certified. And so they come to the office like, I didn't have my benefits certified. You didn't do this. And it's like, no, you as an adult after 18, you're responsible, not your parents, to submit this and that. You are grown, you're supposed to be able, legally, these are your rights. And so I've had to explain to even people that a year or two older than myself, like, hey, like, I understand you're a senior, 23, 24, I get it, been there, I'm in there now, but you can't always have your parents submit, because although you are utilizing the benefits, this is your own information, this is your education. So why not know why not know everything about your own life? Like, why not have every information at your disposal about your situation, so you don't have any questions about where is your money, because you're holding yourself accountable. And so I would say I would recommend every parent to do their research about the institution, go to the regional office, and then have these documents that I mentioned: taxes, the application for CalVet, which is on the CalVet website. And if you plan to utilize the GI Bill, that is something you'd go through your sponsor, and then on the military source website, I'm pretty sure it's a process. But if you look on the GI website, they will be able to walk you through it as far as VRNE as well. And so I would suggest that any parent that has a military dependent in their life, and maybe they're having some hard circumstances, maybe the dependent's going through a situation, maybe they don't want to be in school, something's up, I would tell the parent to, first thing I would say is, be there for your child and listen to them. Maybe there's something that happened, in their journey as a dependent that has just like always been held on to them. Growing up for me, there's a lot of things that I went through that I didn't really take in until I was in undergrad, and I dealt with a lot of mental health struggles, learning about the real world, learning about me, and like figuring out what is my family, why are we who we are. And I dealt with a lot of mental hardships, and it got me to a point where I had to take a semester off, and I got medically diagnosed, and it was a hard journey, but it taught me to get into this field in counseling and help other dependents realize, if you have something on your mind, if there is something bothering you, if you have a pain, a trauma, just talk about it. Maybe it's not with your parent, maybe reach out to your parent and let them know, because we know as military, TRICARE is not the best, but there are options for therapy. And so something that I wanted to just mention, Amal, there is a San Diego Center for Children that offers mental health services specifically with mental health counselors that have military connected experience or background. And so that's something I wanted to put out there and say that, as dependents, we have a lot of privilege. We're brats, right? Like, I don't even like using the term, no me gusta usar esa term, but at the same time, we have a lot of privilege, but we also have a lot of pain in our journeys, supporting our parents, specifically our service member, but also our military spouse, and being there for them emotionally. And Overall, we grow up at a faster rate. We deal with a lot of difficult navigational challenges that maybe other civilian students may not deal with. But at the same time, we have more resources and opportunity at our disposal. It just takes us to come together as a family, as a child, and then as a parents to come together and speak about these experiences and say, I have this pain, I have this experience, let's get through this together. Because the moment you don't talk about it, the moment you leave it to the past, leave it in the future, whatever you feel will come out eventually. And so I say to parents, listen, be there, and get them the support they need, whether that's mental health, education. There's an opportunity for military dependents everywhere. It just takes that first step in finding it. And I would say that if anyone needs resources, like I said, the San Diego Center for Children in here is very helpful. But overall, like if you go to CalVet website, there are also mental health services attached to that as well. And so I would say,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Well, Briana, ha sido un gran placer platicar contigo y conocer un poquito mejor tu journey como military dependent kid, military child, and aka brat, pero pues ya no te vamos a decir eso. Um, pero es un orgullo y por supuesto es un orgullo. Tus padres están muy orgullosos, me imagino,
También estoy
por todo,
orgullosa de mis padres
por
igualmente.
todo lo que estás haciendo y please keep us posted with any updates, any comments. And for anybody else out there, Brian obviously resides in the San Diego, so these are very abundant resources in the San Diego area. But there's also lots of resources in all over the United States, attached to the BA, attached to your local TRICARE or to your installation. So if you need more resources, por supuesto, reach out and or join our Blue Star communities in the neighborhood, where we have different communities. We have a separate groups for almost every chapter, every location out there that you might be, where you'll also get connected, and we'll do our best to connect you to your local community. So any last call to actions, Briana? This is how we like to close our segments. Any last call to actions? Otra, qué nos tienes de tarea? ¿Qué nos vas a mandar a hacer? Tips, one last message que podamos cerrar esto para que nos sirva como de inspiración. ¿Qué
Pues
dirías?
le digo a los padres, primeramente, gracias por todo tu sacrificio, gracias por todo tu tiempo que nos das a nuestros dependents. We come with a lot of struggles and a lot of things to work through. And, if it weren't for our parents, like especially for me, if it weren't for my parents, I wouldn't be a grad student right now. I wouldn't be here, hopefully getting a PhD, and because of your guys' sacrifices. So, to all the parents that may not get that, thank you for all that you do. And I appreciate it. And quiero decir a los dependents, happy month of the military child. And I'm so proud to be a dependent. It's given me everything. And there may be some Facebook posts or Twitter posts back in like 2010 where I was very anti-military out there, but I just want to say that I've grown up and realized like how blessed I am and how privileged I am, and I will continue to help support military connected communities and helping support military dependents and helping overall just bring attention to the stigma that we have with mental health overall in education.
Exacto. Bueno, muchísimas gracias. So, call to action is go get help, talk it over, talk it again, and find a solution and find the resources you need. So, muchísimas gracias, Briana, por estar aquí. Gracias, gracias, gracias por tu día. Y estaremos más en contacto contigo y celebrando más Military Month of Military Child